Hey everyone, my name is Oxana Sannikova and I'm the Technical Solutions Architect here at Cisco. In this demonstration, we are going to take a look how you can leverage Cana security with SecureX today. We are looking at security incident here, and imagine that you are a security analyst and it's Friday evening, you're about to head home for the weekend, and you see a threat detected event coming into SecureX Incident Manager. And your CISO is calling you to find out whether we are really impacted by this threat or this is a false positive. So you should be able to quickly answer this question. In the original incident, we have information about the malware that was executed and the endpoint that was involved in this incident. But how can you quickly identify if this endpoint is actually vulnerable to this type of attack? We can do it leveraging SecureX Orchestration workflow. What this workflow will do, it will pull information from the original incident, and it will leverage Cana intelligence to help you identify whether it's false positive or not. So we will run this workflow manually right now, but normally you would run it on schedule. We will pull information from the original SecureX incident, such as the IP of the target and the file hash of the malware that was involved. And then we go to Cana via the API, we grab information about this asset, all vulnerabilities from this asset, and we try to match these vulnerabilities, leveraging Cana intelligence, to the malware that was triggered on the endpoint to find out if this asset is actually vulnerable to this type of attack. Once we get the match and once this workflow ends execution, the information in the original incident is updated, and we do have vulnerability match, as you can see in Cana. Now, if we click on this link, it will take us to the asset page in Cana, where we get information about this computer risk score and all of its vulnerabilities. And in the notes, we can see which particular vulnerability was matched to the SecureX incident. Looking at this vulnerability, we can say this is the SMB protocol realization by Microsoft that allows remote attackers to execute arbitrary code via crafted packets. And this is a very critical vulnerability, and Cana helps us to understand it by giving us additional information. This vulnerability has active internet breaches in the past 6 months. It is easily exploitable. It has malware existing in the wild, and it's a very popular target for attackers, and it allows for remote code execution. So Cana has taken intelligence, analyzed it, and put it into these big criteria for us to come up with the risk score for this vulnerability, which is the highest risk score possible, which tells us this is critical vulnerability and we need to address it right away. If we look at inside vulnerability, Cana also tells us how to diagnose and remediate it. We can even download the patches right from this page. We can also see which exploits exist in the wild leveraging this vulnerability and the file hashes of this malware variants as well. Additionally, what we can do is by grabbing this vulnerability ID, we can search through all of our environment, through all of our assets in Cana, and see if we have any other assets that are vulnerable to this type of attacks. And quickly, we can see there is another endpoint which has very high risk score, which we need to take attention and take actions on, which is also vulnerable to this type of attacks. Now, to remediate the existing vulnerability, we will go back to our original incident in SecureX, and we will perform response action just as we did in the previous demos. We can leverage pivot menu with just one single click, be able to put this endpoint in quarantine or move it into triage group with secure endpoint solution, or block any traffic from this AP using the firewall action. That concludes our demo. Thank you, everyone.